Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Misha Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within.
So what do you do when you get slapped by Facebook? Like, it's the first thing that like most people are like, what do I do? I'm freaking out, right? And so it happened to us last night, late night, and I hit the thing and I was like, I never had my actual account be like, not deactivated, but what did they say? There was, hold on, I took a picture of it. I was like, your account has been disabled, not deactivated. I was like, sorry, what does it mean? So I've never had an account disabled before. So it's just an experience. We'll figure through it. Like I've like three ways to combat it, but I want it to come back because it was like, I mean, I have 20 years of stuff in there that I'd like to get that account back. So,
well, what happened was I liked a couple of your, the things you had sent me. And so I was going to reference them. Right. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, it's gone or whatever. But
sorry about that. Yeah. No, I'm working really hard to get it back. I'm about to fire off 50 emails to all the people on Facebook that I know.
Yeah. Right. I guess when you're testing, software as such as you guys do, it's probably easy to hit certain triggers and things like that. And
yeah, it sucks actually. It's frustrating. It's just another little stumbling block you got to jump over. So it's okay. We'll fix it. I don't know.
Yeah, and you got your.
I don't know how or why or when it'll get fixed, but it will be soon. So
in the meantime, Melissa.
That's it.
Well, Sean Malone, officially welcome to the Bitch Slap podcast.
Boom! Bitch slap. Just got bitch slapped by Facebook. Here you go. Perfect.
Yes, love it. I love it. And just a real quick reminder. So, Bitch Slap, the accelerated path to peace. I tend to talk in some spiritual terms, but we definitely don't have to. But basically, it's those moments in your life, whether that's work, personal, kids, what have you, or health, where the universe is like, hey, you got to change, you got to grow. This can be either pain that you can springboard forward from, or you can continue the downward spiral. So we can always come back to that. All right.
Please, let's go, man. That's a great topic. Can't wait.
Cool. Fantastic. So I will just start by saying how we met. So,
well, first of all, I'll say thank you for letting me be on your show. I'm really pumped about the movement that you've built. And I think anyone listening to this, listen to Misha because he knows what he's talking about is what I'd say. And I also would encourage you guys that if you're in that place where you've hit a patch of funk, to reach out and connect with Misha because I know that you're the man at what you do. So grateful to be here. Thanks for the opportunity, man.
Well, thank you. That's amazing. I should just shut up and let you talk. let's let you get at it. Get after it. You've got you and your partner Chris, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Have a business called Sales Ascenders. And within that Sales Ascenders, you have some software called Evolution.
Yeah, the name is changing. We're going through a big branding exercise, but currently it is called Evolution. It's going to be being updated here in the next several weeks, so that's going to be changed. We have about 6 or 7 different names for it. So we're just we have an agency that's building our branding with us, so it's going to change, but it's not there yet. So Sales Centers, it's a selling organization, or it's an organization based around ending world thirst. That's the cause that everything drives towards. We started with high ticket sales agency model where we were doing done for you services, where we would go and work with these high-end entrepreneurs that sell products online that typically cost $2,000 up to $1 million and beyond. And what we were doing for them was showing them how to hire, onboard, and train sales teams.
Okay.
And that was a problem that we were solving. Entrepreneur will come to us and say, Sean, I don't want to sell. I need a team. Okay, I've done that a million times. Like, here's how you hire, onboard, and train a sales team. Here's how you put the ecosystem in there. Here's all the SOPs you need, the infrastructure, What happened to us was they weren't increasing the revenue as the expectation in their head was, if now I have a sales team, my revenue should increase. The invisible pressure on their shoulders was, oh, shoot, now I have a sales team. How do I put the right opportunity in front of them day in, day out? And that became the bigger problem that we needed to go actually solve. And so what we did was we created a second leg of our business to coach one to group after we figured out this was the problem. So how we solved it was they said, hey, Sean, now that I have a sales team, how do I put people in front of them? And I thought, oh, that wasn't the original problem you came to us with, but we have a solution. And so we started using a system that was from 20 years ago when I first started in sales offline before even the online game. I knew it was proven. I knew it could work. And we went into the space and we said, here's how it works. We were managing it off Google Docs and spreadsheets. So anybody that's managing off Google Docs and spreadsheets know that it's possible to create tremendous wealth from that. You don't need tools, right? You need some basics. And so that's what we started doing with all of them. And we started seeing tremendous growth with this prospecting system. It's called the core prospecting system that we're putting in people's businesses. And we were able to prove some numbers that were just tremendous. Like, for example, gym coaching space helped a girl go from 30 grand a month in revenue to 90 grand a month in revenue in just about 2.5 months. Helped a girl in the video marketing space go from 40 grand a month in revenue to 250,000 in revenue a month.
Let me ask you a question. So
Sure.
They had sales teams in place and you said, here's how to drive leads to your salespeople, or you did both steps. Here's your team. Here's how you're going to drive the leads. Yeah.
We with the two different businesses I mentioned. So we'll go back into the gym coaching for a second.
Yep.
She already had a sales guy. They had a $3,000 product, and it helped people bring their gyms into an online place. Right?
Okay.
And so that's what he was selling for her. She was doing the lead gen by being loud on social, driving people into a funnel. Then he would take a call and close the deal. That system was generating about 10 deals a month at $3,000 each for 30 grand.
Okay.
When we came in, we said, here, use this mechanism and system. And we put another employee in to actually run it once we got it up and dialed in. And so that one person started running the system, and the same sales guy now actually tripled his output simply because of exposure. And so that's where we went from 30 grand to 90 grand a month. So the next one was video marketing. She did not have a sales guy. So we helped her find an integrator first, and we placed her.
Tell me what you mean when you say an integrator.
So you have the visionary, and then you have so an entrepreneur is either visionary dominant or integration dominant, meaning they're going to go do the work for fulfillment.
Okay.
Right. And so when you have a true visionary entrepreneur that doesn't have enough of the integration skills, the rest of the tribe for fulfillment gets confused. So having an integrator as an intermediary between here's where the visionary is going, here's the big agenda goals that I want to hit, and they come back and they try to tell their whole organization, I want to do $50 million. Well, that organization is going to be deflated to hell because they're like, how are we going to do that? Right. And so the secret is to have that intermediary, an integrator. And if you've ever studied traction, Gino Wickman created this thing called the EOS system, which is beautiful. So it's a book you can grab. It's called Traction. If you want to know if you're an integrator or a visionary, get another book called Rocket Fuel. That one by Gino Wickman will tell you if you're visionary or integrator. And so we helped put an integrator into her business first because she is that visionary with the huge dreams, and she was just destroying her team because they were like, how are we ever going to do that? The integrator comes in and says, I'm the buffer. So the visionary will speak to the integrator. The integrator will say, okay, you want $50 million. Well, this year we're going to do 1 million. And then the integrator turns around and says, hey team, we're going to do 1 million this year. This is the plan. And everybody on board says, oh, we could smash this.
Yes.
And they smash the goal, and it creates momentum. And now the integrator goes back to the visionary and says, look what we just did. Visionary is going to say, great, 50 million. Okay, cool. This year we're going to do 3 million, right? And so it's that's what the integrator does.
Go ahead. Go. Sorry. I do. Well, actually, I do have a question. So you've got you've got the this business number 2 that we're talking about. You said it's video. What's the
video marketing? So what she would do is help people create content strategy around YouTube specifically.
And she had success for herself doing that in the past. Awesome. Great. So she's got a vision. I know I can help people. She's got a fledgling team, group, whatever. And you bring in an integrator. You helped find the integrator?
Yeah. Actually, it was funny enough. Yeah, just a small world. We knew her and we knew that she needed that. So we're like, hey, you guys should talk. They ended up talking and made a deal. So we were out of that. We just connected them because obviously it's about making an impact. And I knew if she had that, she could offload, the entrepreneur could offload some of that integration work. And then it was simply, now let's build a sales team. So
okay, hold one sec. Sorry, we'll get to that. So integrator, what are some specific things that the integrator is doing at this point? You know what I'm saying? So we can give somebody a vision. So if we got a visionary that's listening going, wait a minute, I'm stuck in the muck here. This integrator thing sounds awesome. Like, give me some specifics if you can.
Yeah. I think the best example is, do you play golf? Have you ever played golf?
I have played golf. Not well, but I have played.
Do you have your own golf clubs, your own set of clubs?
Not anymore. I played so bad. I just, I'd rather surf.
So it would be like if you had your own set of golf clubs and you had 3 5-irons and 10 7-irons and 1 9-iron and then a driver.
Okay.
And you're going to war with that as your toolkit. So what an integrator is going to do is come in and say, why do you have 3 7-irons? Let's only have 1. And they're going to take those other 2 out. And then they're going to organize the internal side of your business in such a way where it empowers the visionary to go, or the entrepreneur to actually move forward. So it's that person, that right-hand person that will execute on all the tedious, laborious tasks of making things in perfect columns, crossing T's, dotting I's, making sure right people are in the right seats in the bus, and holding them accountable to actually doing their job.
Cool.
Where the visionary's job is, hey, I have to get exposure for the impact that I can make for the world. And I have to do the publicity move and then feed where I'm wanting to take the ship to my integrator so that she can line up all the tools and go in that direction.
Cool. I've got it. And then is there any in specifics you can give in regards to the company that you're talking about, or no, or like that? Well, here's a couple of things the integrator did for this video production lady. Like right out of the gate, she rolled in and said, "Oh, go ahead."
Yeah. So she's spoken on a bunch of big stage. Her name's Marley Jacks, if you've ever heard the name. Yeah. And so she's just a dear friend of mine.
Marley Jacks was the visionary.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious. Sorry, I'm not asking the question well at all. You bring in the integrator. I'm curious some steps that the integrator took, right, or relatively soon that the integrator took for Marley. So Marley's like, here's my vision. And the integrator goes, oh, thanks, Marley. And then she looks over here and goes, great. Now let's do these steps.
Yep. So Marley said, this is where I want my ship to be.
Okay.
And the integrator came in, her name's Jaylee. And so Jaylee said, okay, perfect. The first thing that you're not going to do anymore is build any funnel stuff. So then Jaylee went out and found Funnel Builder, right? And then managed and organized the funnels exactly the way that Marley wanted them. Second step, right? So Marley is now running these challenges and doing summits and speaking on stage and doing all this stuff. And she's coming back and trying to do the delivery work. Jaylee said, not going to happen no more. You need to go out. I'm your shield. Right. And now Marley gets to go forward, and then she turns around and says, we need coaches and trainers. And now we have all this video editing work. Now we have copywriting people that we need. And so Jaylee is now responsible for hiring all those people and making sure all the departments get dialed in exactly the way they needed to be.
Beautiful.
So that's what Jaylee does for Marley as an integrator role. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So you were going to talk about the sales team. They said, all right, yeah, go.
Yeah. So what we did for her is we helped with the integrator piece, and then we helped her hire her first salesperson, and then we worked with the salesperson to make sure that he was ready and set to go. And we put our system in place, and we saw our business go from $40K a month to $250 consistently now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I will tell you that when I was in the loan business, so I was in the loan business for 15 to 20 years or whatever, or something like that. I've forgotten already, thank goodness. And before that, 5 years of selling in financial services and tech. And the further on I love the system aspect of it. So I love the sales funnel aspect of it, but where you're talking to X amount of people and then you're weeding out the people that are not a good fit. And you're more of a traditional funnel than the way we hear online funnels spoken about now. And so I joined some Facebook group. I'm not sure where or what or which one. And then I get an invite from you into the Sales Ascender mastermind group. I think, is that what it's called? Or the
Sales Ascenders Inner Circle. Yeah.
Sales Ascenders Inner Circle. Awesome. And I loved it was a great intro. It was accessible, right? And then, so I joined, and I can't remember how it all came about, but there's a series of interactions, right? And I'm going, ooh, this is speaking to me, being a systemized guy from the loan business of finding my target audience, filtering it down to the people that I want to market to, and then just start moving them down the line. Or I think the way you talk about it, or I can't remember. Yeah. And so I'm seeing that process happen with you to me. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is exciting, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm going to tell you what really struck me, though, because I start digging around and I'm like, all right, who's Sean Malone, right? And so I look at the traditional, social media.
I'm so excited. What'd you find? Because there's a lot.
Well, no, it's all good. No negative. You'll hear what. Yeah, I was like, oh no, it was all good. So I find you on Instagram, right? And there's like, oh, it's a relatively small following. I find you, and I don't mean that negatively.
Oh, yeah. I don't play it on that channel very much.
Well, right. Then I look on Facebook, and I'm just looking all around, and relatively, let's say, small traditional influencer matrix, right? If you're looking at the traditional matrix of what is required to have success, I would say they were relatively small. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'll get to the point as fast as I can. And I'm like, wow, you're doing some powerful stuff. And then we engage through some bot work, or I'm not sure of the terminology, but again, the Facebook messages, the DMs, and then we get on the phone. I talk to you, obviously very engaging. I watch a couple of your videos. You clearly have tremendous sales skills, passionate about what you do. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, you and Chris have a lot of traction and are doing really cool stuff with relatively, again, what I would say are small, traditional influencer matrix. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, I think a lot of people think they have to go build a 10, 15, 20, 50, 100,000 person audience. And it's not the case.
It's not the case. I want you to speak to that. And I want you to go.
When we first started in the online game, it's about 5.5 years ago. And the way we found it was a Facebook ad. I'd never used online. I didn't even know Facebook had like advertising platforms on the back end. And I was like, this is a new world. And as I dove in, I didn't know anything about marketing. But what I did know is that I'm a good communicator because I've been practicing for a lot of years. I've spent a lot of money and I've learned systems and I understand frameworks and I do know how to close some pretty big deals. I used to teach people to close $1 million plus deals prior to coming into the online space. So think anything from personality selling to body language to NLP tactics to the hardcore sales infrastructure that you need to close, prospecting systems, like that realm of communications is the vocation that I'm committed to 100%. I will always be in that channel. I'm never going to change from one instant that happened in my life 20 years ago, right? And I can go down the path of doing that, but I want to be specific to your question. So if you want to go back, let me know. We'll go back to that, but in a little bit.
Yes.
When we climbed into the online space, we saw a Facebook ad, and this little 19-year-old kid walking across the street, no shirt on, and he's walking down a beach on some beautiful island, and he says, I just made all this money online. And I'm like, my internal voice immediately says, yo, Sean, if that little dork can do it, you can do it too. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, everyone thinks that. And so I'm like, yeah, we got to do this. And so we bought into the program and we went down, we got upselled into this network marketing company, right? I didn't know where we were going. It was a medical grade water system that alkalized the water. It's like a coffee machine, sits on your counter. Love the product, still have it over in our kitchen. And I was like, I'm a believer of the product because I did the research on the company. The founders are cool. I don't know marketing. I want to use the online mechanism to see if I can make some sales. Well, it worked. And what happened was we had no audience. We just started with like, hey, let's start doing some publishing work. Let's learn advertising because I didn't know that. That's what this marketing program was teaching us. And so we started learning. Probably the worst thing you could learn when you first get in the online space is paid advertising to cold traffic.
Brutal.
That strategy should come like last in the thing, right? I'll give you the order. The right order is first and foremost to understand, number one, what's the problem you solve? And then number two, go find 10, 15, 20, 30 people that potentially have the problem you solve and start with marketing research. Ask them, what are they struggling with? Hey, Misha, I'm coming to market with this product in this communication space. It might be good for your business. Could I just ask you 5 questions? I'm doing some marketing research. That would get me into conversations with people. And I would say, hey, I'm in the communication space, specifically in sales and prospecting. Let me ask, do you ever get worried about, like your consistent flow of leads? Tell me about that. Are you ever struggling with, hey, how do you even do the sales thing? Because I don't know. Maybe you already know, maybe you don't. Are you pissed off that other people are stealing or you can't get the visibility that you want, the market share? Like what's going on there? And I would start asking these types of questions in the marketing research phase. And what I found is I'd ask kind of the same 4 or 5 questions over and over. And I started seeing these trends. And I was like, okay, there's the trends. And Chris and I spoke with about 40, 50 people. And out of those 40, 50 came like 3 or 4 trends. And we're like, that's it. We're going to build an offer around those 3 or 4 things that everybody seems to be saying. And then we went back to those 40 or 50 people and said, here's the offer. And they all said, I'm in. And we started with 1-to-1 service. Why? Because we needed to be able to understand the language, the communication patterns, how to actually truly solve the problem for our audience, because they're voting with their wallet. Right? A lot of people will go, hey, what should I do? What should I sell? What should I do? And then they go build a thing and then nobody wants to buy it. Why? Because the people that are telling them what to build are not going to be buying it. So the best place to start is with the people that are actually going to buy the thing from you. So that's why we went deep into the one-on-one space. And when we answered the problem, we figured out how to get results for people. Then we said, great, now we need to serve more people. And then we went on this path of one to a group setting. We started doing masterminds and other things like this. And then the next move is, okay, now let's evergreen it. Let's make it a little bit more automated so we can now put in paid ads to people we know that are already going to have the problem, that are going to come through and already buy because we know the language, we know the feeling, we know the flavor of what they're looking for. This is where paid advertising starts. Now, in my journey, I started backwards. I started with the paid ad. So I was a little bit upside down. It took us 34 attempts. Let me say that again. 34 attempts to film one advertisement that actually started converting. Most people quit after 3 tries, right? and so we built one and it started working. And next thing you know, boom, our audience went from 0, right? Small audience, into 2,500 people that have invested over 10 grand with us, to an audience of 300,000 people that are now saying, hey, we need a better software platform. Your software sucks, Sean. And I'd say back to them, it's not our software company. It's not we didn't do it. But then it was, okay, well, it's their problem. That's the people that are voting with their wallets. Like, we need to listen to what they're saying and go create a solution. Hence building a software business that gave us that award. And that's where that started from. And so that was a really kind of, I hope that answered your question in a roundabout way.
So the audience of 300,000, that business you created, and is that the 2 Club X award I see for anybody who's...
Yeah, this is just a 2 The 2 award comes from the ClickFunnels organization, Russell Brunson. We've been in his inner circle now for 4 years. And he basically, anybody that's able to generate $1 million in revenue through a funnel through his software wins that award, but it has to be done in a 12-month period.
I did not know in a 12-month period. That's unbelievable. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I think so. You sold that business, that audience of 300,000, that business that you have, you sold that. When was that? How long ago was that?
Yeah, so that was about 3.5 years ago, I think. Don't get me on. Yeah, it was about maybe almost. Yeah, so it's about 3.5 years ago, I think. Yeah, and then timelines get
It's
crazy
okay
in my head. So after we sold it, well, first of all, like, why did we sell it? Because it was doing 7 figures. It was doing really well for us. We listened to our coach, and we're very coachable. Russell Brunson says, "Hey guys, I've been watching your journey over the last 4 years, and you hate your lifestyle." What do I mean? You're in
we call this a bitch
burnout.
slap. Tell me about
it. That was one of my hardest bitch slaps. Probably not my hardest, but one of them, where you have somebody that I was just like enamored with because he's one of the greatest marketers in the world saying, kill your baby. You're like, what? How do you kill a 7-figure business? And we had no idea, but he said that's what we had to do. And we're like, okay, let's figure it out. The reason was because listen very closely, because if you're trying to build a business, what is the reason you're building a business? Most people start with, hey, I'm just going to go build this business and it's going to give me this lifestyle. No. Don't do it that way. Go back and say, what's the lifestyle you want to create first? Design it, right? Build it by design or create it by design, and then figure out what's the business mechanism that can give you the lifestyle. And then when you're building your business, keep this in mind, design it with the intent to sell it one day. Even though you're not going to sell it, have that thought pattern. If I was going to build this business to be able to sell it in 5 years from now, what do I have to do today? What's the system I need? What do I know someone's going to want to buy? Because most people get into the solopreneur world. And when they're in the solopreneur world, what are they doing? Everything's in their head. It's not on paper. You are the business. You are still trading time for money. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say no SOPs or standard operating procedures. So my guess is as well that you had heard through your life or somewhere along the way, hey, start building get the vision of your lifestyle, build that vision. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. And then finally, crack, get rid of your baby, start again, build the lifestyle.
I mean, what happened? Like the bitch slap, right? We always talk about what is the bitch slap. And the bitch slap for me was when I was going on a vacation with Melissa for like a weekend. We understand we were working 20 plus hours a day. We'd been doing it for a multiple amount of years. My coaches were yelling at me because they're like, what's important to you? I said, my wife. They said, show me your calendar. And then I opened it and my wife was nowhere on my calendar. And I was like, oh, that's a big problem. So this was at that time in my life. So I was in burnout 100. I was exhibiting like 11 out of the 12 things that burnout showed. Right. So I'm like all of them. And I was driving on the highway.
Denial too.
Of course. That was one of them, right? I was just like, I can do it. I'll just power through it. Stupid thing to do, but
anyway, go on.
Yeah, and I'm driving down the road, and I remember like saw this tree, and it was a magnificent tree. And I thought to myself as I was driving up the highway, I'm like, what would happen if I just did this? Bam, right in the tree. And as I passed the tree, I started streaming tears down my face. And Melissa looks at me. She's like, what do you do? Why are you crying? We're going on a nice weekend trip. It's the first trip we've had. You can't cry right now. I pulled the car over and I said, babe, this is the thought I just had. Sorry.
That's okay.
And it was a really tough conversation for me. And I got to a place where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I like, sorry, those feelings sometimes come back.
Love it.
And we sat there for a minute, and then she's like, look, we need to make a change. And I was like, yeah, we do. And so then that was the time, like the following week, we went and visited with Russell. And that was the time when Russell was like, yo, man, I lived in that place for 5 years. You've been there for 2. Don't go for 3 more years because it's going to end like it ended for me and you're not going to like it. And I said, okay, I hear you loud and clear, coach. What do I got to do? And he said, kill your baby. And I said, I don't know how to kill a 7-figure company. I've never done anything like that. And he said, you'll figure it out. I said, yeah, okay. And that's sorry, I'm just a little emotional about that one because it's like
no,
at
it's
that
beautiful.
place.
Thank you
Right?
for sharing.
And so it took us a year to sell.
I'm laughing with you, by the way. I'm just
No.
I'm laughing with you, and I'm really loving the part of like, how do you kill, like, yeah, kill your 7-figure baby, okay, but it's like, yeah, wait, what? I mean, you have time, energy. I'm sure you have an ecosystem of what could be perceived as family at this point, right? Within that. So go on, tell me how.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the biggest drivers of that is we had, what that software product did. It did three things. If you were trying to break out of the 9 to 5, it would give you a vehicle. The vehicle was this mechanism called a marketing machine. Inside of the marketing machine, there's really kind of 3 parts. The first part is you would get paid ads training in Facebook specifically. That was what that software started. So there's a training platform there, which came with weekly coaching. The second part was you actually had your own sales team. You had your own sales team that I built to manage for all of the affiliates that came through the program. So, and then the last thing is we had a webinar team. So you'd get all 3 of these pieces. All you had to do was learn paid advertising and drive eyeballs or traffic into one of the 5 done for you funnels that was already put into this marketing machine. And then our whole organization, the infrastructure, would then take that lead of yours that you drove through, take them through our entire process, nurture from start to, cradle to grave kind of thing, and get them closed into a product to start the process. And then the commission that came from the big sale would then flow back to the person that drove the traffic into the system in the beginning. It was beautiful. It worked really well. The problem was it wasn't an audience that I wanted to serve, because when I first came online, that's the stuff I wanted to learn. That's who I was. And then I got to a place where I grew and I was like, okay, I'm going to help those people because that's who I was. And I started helping them for years. And then Russell says, dude, you've grown past that. You need to move on. And that was the aha moment of, okay, you're right. This sucks. How do we get out of it? And it took us a year. Because we had this group of people inside of the software platform, we're making crazy, like 50 to 80 grand a month, like dumb money for when you're young. And these kids are 20 years old making that kind of cash flow, like amazing, right? It was so cool because it worked so well. And those were near and dear to us because we had a big kind of group of our kind of really close people that were crushing it. And we felt owed it to them. Like we couldn't just shut it down. One of the first ideas was, hey, let's just turn it off. Let's kill it. And we're like, we can't, because we owe it to them not to. It's their moneymaker, right? They'd all quit their 9 to 5s. We in 62 families to get out of the 9 to 5. That's a statement, right? 62 families to make 20 grand a month consistently. That's what we achieved.
It's amazing.
The goal was 100 families. We fell short, but 62 is still a big number, right?
Not bad.
Yeah. And so, so at that stage, we're like, okay, we can't turn it off. So we sell it. We call it a business broker. How do we sell this? Oh, it's too confusing. Can't do it. Okay. What do you mean? We've never sold anything like this before. It's crazy. Okay. And we're like, maybe we can call one of the people inside the inner circle that we've built that have made all this money that could buy it from us. We went down 3 or 4 of those conversations and we realized that wasn't going to happen. It was like, hey, I want to be a super affiliate. I don't want to be a slave like you are right now because I watch your life. Fair enough. By the way, I've never told anybody this part of it, right? Yeah. And then the third thing was, okay, well, what do we do? And I was like, well, maybe I'll just call my original coach who got me started in this thing. Called him. His name was Brandon. And I said, hey, coach, how's it going? He's like, good. What are you up to? And so we started talking and riffing a bit. And he's like, hey, I'm actually coming to town. Would you be open to grabbing a lunch? I said, yes, please. That would be great. I have some stuff I'd like to discuss with you, because he had been off. He'd been building something on his own as well that did something similar. And so we had lunch, and I said, I just broke down in tears and I said, hey, coach, like, we need to sell this thing. And I don't know who's going to buy it. And he said, don't worry. He raised his hand. He's like, I'm going to buy it from you. And that's how it happened. And I was like, it's unbelievable. Right. And so the next day we went up into a suite in downtown Las Vegas, and he had his 2 other business partners come. We sat at the table, we drew up the agreement, and done in about 72 hours. And a legal just signed off. It was amazing. Like, I was so grateful for it. And still to this day, I'm for that. And it was awesome. And then So, okay, that one's off the shoulders. What's next?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at that stage, we didn't know what to do. So we went to one of our other coaches.
And who's we at this point?
Chris and myself and Melissa.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we've been partners in the online space now for almost 6 years.
Okay.
Chris and us. Yeah,
so this is approximately 3 years ago that business is sold, and you're like, what are we going to do?
We're like, what are we going to do?
Okay. So
Alex Sharpin, our other business coach, he's the guy who helped us with business systems. We went to him and said, hey, we don't know what to do. What should we do? And he said, what are you good at? And we said, sales. And he said, guess what? All these online entrepreneurs suck at sales. You should go talk to them. Great idea. I could solve that problem.
Great idea. Yes.
And we went off and we started that marketing research. Like I just mentioned, is like we spoke with 40, 50 people. We saw the trends. We developed an offer and we went back, and now we have 5 high ticket clients. That's how it started.
So that's what I wanted. That was the point of how powerful what you're doing is with such a today. That's like, it's just very powerful to me. It's inspiring to me in that I'm like, wow, these guys. So I had my head in the gopher hole for a while. I put it up, I look around, and, there's all this publish, create influence. And then I stumble across you guys, or you stumble across me, or your systems pull me in. I think that's a better way to say it. And then
after beam of awesomeness.
Yes. And it's with, again, the standard metrics of you need 120,000 followers here, and here. I didn't really dig too much on LinkedIn's, so I don't know what's going on there, but I just was very struck by what you guys are able to do with your technology that you're offering to guys like me or other people. It's refreshing, I guess. I don't know if I've got a question here, or it's just more commentary.
Well, I think, yeah. Well, I think I can riff on it because I think it's valuable for everyone to understand. And I think a lot of people feel like when they're trying to build online businesses, they feel like it's out of reach.
Yes.
Because I'm not like Russell Brunson, because I don't have an audience of 10, 15, 20, 50,000 people to be able to drop something and make some cash flow.
Yes.
This is why there's a migration in the online space, which I believe is ahead of most other industries in terms of price increases, high ticket.
Yeah.
You hear this term, what is high ticket? Well, to me, high ticket's $100,000 sale or higher, because I came from a space of I'm teaching people to close $1 million deals. So my relative perspective on what high ticket is so different than everybody else's. However, I started at kind of the backside of it from $1 million deals, and I'm back down. $2,000 deal, like that's fairly easy to do. Most people don't have that headspace yet because they didn't go through that journey.
Yes.
And so, and it's what it is. But the cool thing about the internet space is that as you increase your ticket price, and remember when I went into that network marketing, it was $10,500. You only have to close a couple of those deals to have a pretty healthy income every single month. Like when I had to get Melissa out of her job, she was an administrative assistant in a dental office. She ran practically the dentist's office, right? And we agreed. I said, hey, we're going to build this online business. How do we get you out of your job? Because it was devastating waking up at 7:00 and I roll over and she's just pouring tears out of her eyes. Like, I don't want to go to this jail over here. It's this box of bricks. And long story. And I said, okay, well, what's the guidelines? What's the thing? And we agreed that if we could build an online business that paid us $20,000 per month net after all expenses for 3 months straight, she could quit her job. It happened in 4 months because I was that determined to stop the tears coming down her face. And
when was that? What
that was when we started. That's when we found that online ad where the guy was walking across the beach, and I was like, "Hey, if he could do it, I could do it too."
I have a couple other things I wanted to touch on, but if you, awesome. So,
let me just finish that thought because I just want to. No, close loop. I always love close loop here.
I'd close the loop. Thank you.
Small audiences can create big revenue if you do it.
Yes. Thank you. That's it. Small audiences can create big revenue, and you can be powerful and impactful. I think the impactfulness is what really strikes me. I'm like, yeah, these guys are onto something. It's inspiring. And there's probably a ton of people doing it, or not maybe exactly what you're doing it, but it is a hopeful thing, I think, is what it is. For it's how you just said it was beautiful. Thank you for closing that loop.
Yeah. Small audiences create big revenue when you do it right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So Russell Brunson, Brendan Bouchard, mentors that you've mentioned, mentors that you've had in your life, that you have committed financially to. My question is, how much have you invested in mentorship yourself?
This will probably make you sick if I told you. We'll just start with Russell Brunson. I've spent over $250,000 with him, and that's over the past 5 years. There's people like Alex Sharfin I spent 65 grand with. There's sales coaches that I would spend 12 grand for a 6-week boot camp. And I just, not so much because I didn't even have the cash flow. Like most people are like, whoa, Sean, $250,000 with a single. Yeah. Why? Because he's the best marketer on the planet. Right. I was actually in another podcast interview earlier today with one of my new coaches. She's an NLP genius. And I love NLP, right? Neuro-linguistic programming. It's using simple sentences to get people to think in your patterns and your ways. That's all that it means. And she's a true expert in it. And
what's her name, if you don't mind me asking?
Stacy O'Byrne. And she's got Pivot Point Advantage as her company. Love her to death. She's amazing. And she, happy to connect you if you want to meet her.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And she was saying, she said one of her mentors was Jim Rohn, one of the greatest people of all time. She just hired Jay Abraham. You talk about big time, very high level, expensive coaching. Yeah. Like Jay Abraham coaches Tony Robbins. She just hired him to coach her too. Right. So that's kind of superpower coaching. And I believe in coaches beyond almost anybody. Simply because they have clicked the buttons, they've fallen into the holes they don't want you to fall into, and they're here to help you empower yourself to move forward. And this is why coaching is so valuable. I could riff on that for 2 days. But what I'll share is that she told me in our other interview today that I was talking with her, she said Jim Rohn told her at a very early age, how much money do you make in a year? Whatever that number is. 30% of that number should be reinvested into yourself to grow. And she said, since that day, she's invested 30% of her total money that she makes every single year into her own personal development and coaching. What does she have now to show for it? She's got 3 businesses that are doing multiple 7s. And she said she has 7 businesses that are doing multiple 6s.
And she probably has the lifestyle she wants.
Yep.
How much time have you invested with these coaches? So we've got the financial. Thank you for sharing that. How much time would you say?
Well, all of them are different. Like I believe in immersion, because if you do immersion, then you can come out with frameworks and you inherently like just internalize something. And so when I first started in my sales journey, it was nonstop. I stopped reading fiction books. I stopped everything. It was just, I'm learning this one thing. I'm going to get so good at it that I know ins and outs. So for example, selling systems, I hired my first sales coach. His name was Steve, and I was 12 grand for 6 weeks. And then after that, I was like, how do I pay you more? Because I want more. And I kept going weekly to this guy for 2 hours on a Tuesday. I had to drive across town, sit in a meeting, listen to
How
the
old
other
are you
guys.
at this point, if you don't mind me asking?
Just like young 20s. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out like, how are these guys closing deals that are 10K, 20K? And I learned. And then I was like, okay. So it took me about 2 years of immersion where I was doing at least 2 hours a week instructional. And then outside of work, I was testing daily for anywhere from 1 to 2 hours on my own stuff. And so that was kind of the timelines. I was testing sales techniques, sales strategies, wordplay, other different things. So like I'd get in a conversation and I'd try this new move. How do I get someone's budget? I try this new move. Hey, what's your buying process? I try this new move. Like, oh, are you struggling with this one problem?
Mm.
And I'd start learning and seeing what worked. And I tested all this stuff. And then I was like, oh, there's other sales systems. So then I bought all those too. And I started identifying like, what are the common elements out of all of them? And I look for trends, because if you look for trends, you're going to find the gold. That's why when I did all of this, I was like, okay, boom, here it all comes. Like there's 7 specific stages that if you walk someone through these 7 stages that's why we've called the selling ascension method. It will actually give you very, very good proof of how to move a prospect from you never talk to them to they're going to give me all their money and I'm going to make a massive impact in their world.
Yeah, love it. And which is what you're able to do now, make massive impact with a small audience, or however you said that.
Yeah.
I want to know, I think it's inspired that in your early 20s, you engage with a coach or a selling process, or you're willing to commit capital to this idea. That's inspired, I think, because not everybody will do that. I've been stubborn with coaching over the years, on and off. And, what's that?
You know what it came from?
Tell me.
I was pissed off because I sucked at sales. And so I remember, and I don't know if I share this, but for the first 6 weeks of my selling career, I would make 80 calls a day, and I never booked an appointment in 6 weeks. That's 2,400 tries for 0 appointments. That'll piss off anybody. And so then I thought back to my day of like, hey, I'm an athlete. If I'm trying to be the best baseball player on earth, if I'm trying to be the best golfer on earth, do you know how many coaches Tiger Woods has? He has a full staff of coaches. You've got a mindset coach. You've got 2 swing coaches. You've got 3 strength coaches. You've got his pediatrician now, or whatever he's got for his legs. I hope he's okay.
I know.
Amazing, right? So,
hopefully.
But his team is around him, his team of coaches, right? And so I was like, okay, well, I should just replicate that in business because it's probably the same thing. And it is.
I love it. And I don't mean to cut you off.
Sure.
But there's that moment of being in sales a long time myself, and having teams along the way and hiring people. And it's so often we'll see somebody who is in a sales, we're hiring you to sell. If they're new, they come in, they do that 6 weeks, they fail because it's tricky. We don't have skills. We've got to learn them. And how many people pivot and go, this is not for me, I'm doing something else. You got angry and we're like, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to master this. And that's your competitive side from your baseball. You were a baseball player in college, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, I paid for my college, so I'm grateful for that. But even if you go back into high school days, it was like, I knew that my parents, we moved from South Africa when I was a young kid. They didn't have a bunch of money growing up. We had to start from zero. So I watched my dad work 100-hour weeks as my whole upbringing. And I told myself I never wanted to be like him, away from the family, but I also wanted that work ethic that he had. And so I'm really grateful for a lot of things that my dad shared and installed in me. And I will forever be grateful for him because he's one of my biggest inspirations, as well as my mom. But what I saw was like, hey, you can go work hard at one thing and get really good at it. And so if I'm coming up as an athlete, I'm saying, hey, I want to be the best hitter. What I do, I took lots of reps, boom, boom, at the plate. What I want to be, a golden glove. So I practiced that. Next thing you know, I'm like the 4A player of the year for a couple of years straight in high school. And it's like all these people are coming to recruit me. And I'm like, this is awesome. What did I do? I just practiced the craft. I had a coach that taught me the fundamentals, and I practiced the craft. Same thing.
I love that. Thank you for that. That's a beautiful way to describe that. I can't believe. I love that. That is beautiful. Thank you for that, Sean. You had an opportunity to go minor leagues, but chose not to in baseball.
Correct. Yep. I got drafted and follow out of high school for the Padres, turned it down. Then my third year.
I wanted
a college degree.
Okay.
And I wanted to grow. My original dream was to be a pro baseball player. When I got into the upper echelon of college, I realized how good every baseball player was. And I was like, I don't know if I have the chops, right? That lack of confidence. And I mean, there's just those people are freakishly good.
Freakishly good. I had a question in regards to that, but it eluded me. Any financial offers along the way? So out of high school, Padres, were they like, well...
Yeah, they were going to pay for my junior college. They wanted me to do a draft and follow, meaning they were going to put me into junior college for 2 years and then promote me to AA. And I said, no, I'm not interested in that. I want to go to a 4-year institution and get an actual degree in something, business specifically. And so I started playing baseball in college, and I got to my 3rd year, and then the Mets, the Rangers, and the Padres came back. And they said, hey, we'd like you to step into our game. And I said, again, I was like, hey, I'm 1 year away from my educational degree. Like, can we wait until that happens? And that last 4th year of mine, there was turmoil that happened on the team. And I ended up giving my entire scholarship back to the coach because he was doing some things that were unethical. He actually got fired that year. It was a really bad thing. I just kind of got caught in the drama, so to speak. Hardest decision I made to quit. And then fast forward, I came out and started playing like semi-pro wood bat leagues out here in Las Vegas, and people were like, hey, come play for this AAA team. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to. The path is too long and the money's not good enough, and I can make way more money selling stuff. So I'm good.
Yeah. So my first, I'm just fascinated by it. My mentor in the loan business, his name was Darren Riley. And I was such a gift to through serendipitous events to land with him. And he played minor league ball for a number of years and just has all the tales around it and the slogging and the grinding and just the whole thing about it. And but the discipline that he brought, the reps that you're talking about, it's just, and he was very much that saying of, success is, or luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Yeah, I love that. And so you're obviously representative of that, huh?
Yeah, I believe in creating your own luck from the standpoint of manifest it in your mind work, do the skill work necessary. You can't just manifest it and it appears. Yeah. No, but the universe is going to put opportunity in front of you. And if you don't take the opportunity to do the skill work to learn the thing and execute, it's not going to ever work. And then eventually network. Goes in that order. Mind work, skill work, network every time.
Love it. Mind work, skill work, network. Thank you for that little nugget right there. So I think I know the answer of this question, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. How much of your success do you credit, or how much of the coaching, time and money, do you credit to your long-term success?
All of it. Or at least 90% of it. I just know, hey, look, life is short. You've heard that a million times. Would you rather have the shortcuts to the video game that you're actually playing? Or do you want to go try to struggle through level 1 and get killed by the boss at the end and then try to get to level 2 and not understand that when you have somebody that's already on level 15 saying, yo, just do this, jump here, go there, figure that out. And now I'm already on level 10 and I don't even know what I'm doing yet.
It's beautiful. I know you are a busy man, and I believe we're coming up on 3:00 California time. So I'm guessing that
I got a jam. Yeah,
got a jam. So
so if you're interested in learning a little bit more about me, or maybe you think what we do can solve something that's going on in your world, just jump over to Facebook and look up Sales Ascenders Inner Circle and get yourself a free invite into our free Facebook group. Our system will pick you up as soon as you apply. And as long as you're a good fit, then we'll start a nice little messaging chat between either myself and you or Chris and you, and we'll get on a call. We speak with every single person that comes to our family, and I'm grateful for it. So
fantastic. I'm going to hit stop, and then we can chat and say goodbye.
Sure.
Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for more resources on what has helped me on my journey and can help you on yours, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. Thank you again for listening.